Hi, fight fans, and welcome back to LL Sports TV. Hope you're doing well. First up, I just want to say congratulations to Natasha Jonas of Liverpool, former two-time or two-weight world champion in the women's game. Natasha Jonas has just been awarded MBE for her services both to the community and to boxing. Thoroughly deserved. Big up yourself, Natasha Jonas. Very talented lady, both in and out the ring, classy individual, and deserves all the accolades coming her way. So well done, Natasha Jonas. Moving on then, Turki Al Sheikh, in many people's eyes, boxing super promoter and the savior of boxing, it would appear. Certainly one of the most influential people in boxing at the present time. Now, Turkey, as in recent days, made a statement that has got everybody talking. It's a very interesting statement that appeared on his social media account. It's got the whole world in boxing talking. It's got the boxing media in a frenzy. And I've got it here. I want to read it out because I want to do it justice. I don't want it to misquote or introduce any ambiguity. So I'm going to quote him verbatim. It's just a short statement, but here goes. He says, Turki Al Sheikh says, "From now on, I no longer want to see Tom and Jerry style boxing fights where one fighter just runs around the ring and the other chases after him. We can no longer support such fights under the Riyadh season. And the ring, that is the Ring magazine, we want to support fighters who leave everything in the ring and fight with heart and pride." Now, as I said, that statement that was released a few days ago by Turki Al Sheikh appears to have the boxing world in a frenzy and has got everybody talking. And I must admit, when I saw that statement, I kind of laughed to myself. But I've got to say, I absolutely agree with everything he said there. And speaking both as a lifelong fan, somebody who has boxed, albeit amateur, not at the top level, but a decent level as amateur. And I've been involved in boxing a number of years. I'm also a qualified coach. Obviously, I do YouTube stuff. Boxing is my passion. But I really do agree with Turki Al Sheikh's comments on this particular subject. And listen, I'm a fan of boxing, and boxing incorporates different styles. So you've got your boxers, your pure boxers, your boxers and movers. You've got guys who come forward and, want to engage in the trenches and stuff like that. I get that, I really do. And there are some nuances. It's not a straightforward debate. There is a big difference between what I would call boxing and moving and running in boxing. There's a big difference. To me, boxing and moving is an art form. It's a skill which, if performed properly, can be very good to watch. In fact, beautiful to watch. So there's a big difference between just running around a boxing ring and boxing with purpose, boxing with strategy. Boxing and moving involves great footwork, and you use the footwork to create angles, to control distance, maintain your balance, set up attacks, use it as a way of defending yourself, and also, which is goes under the radar a little bit, by using your feet properly, you can go in and out and conserve energy when required. Very important in boxing, especially over long distance professional fights. So that's a big difference from running, which, let's face it, is just something that people deploy to just not engage, to stay as far away from your opponent as possible, which obviously is not acceptable and it's not good to watch. So yeah, there's a big difference here. Boxing and moving is a skill set, whereas running is a conscious decision taken by the fighter to not engage. So the difference lies with intent, if you ask me. Obvious examples, and I've got a few here that I'd like to demonstrate. Guys that have boxed and moved and made it look really good and really entertaining to watch. People like Muhammad Ali, he comes to mind. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. He went under that phrase, and he did it beautifully. Sugar Ray Robinson before him was another one. Exercised great movement, was also aggressive when he needed to be. Perfect boxing. Sugar Ray Leonard, another one. Deployed movement, but also was very aggressive when it needed to be. Hector Camacho Jr., Puerto Rican, fighting out in New York back in the 80s. Brilliant boxer. Again, moved when he had to, but it was strategic. It wasn't just to run away from your opponent. Floyd Mayweather, he come under a lot of criticism, certainly towards the end of his career. But for the most part, and there were times when Floyd did use excessive movement. What he would tend to do, I noticed in the latter half of Floyd's career, what he would typically do was pile up the points. And then when it got to rounds 11 and 12, he would move constantly when he knew he had the fight in the bag. Okay, not the most entertaining, but trust me, when he stayed in the pocket or when it was demanded, he could be really good to watch. Vasyl Lomachenko, another guy that deployed a lot of movement, but it was strategic movement, and his footwork was brilliant to watch, in my opinion. Alexander Usyk is another one. Even for a bigger man, his footwork is brilliant. Cruiserweight, heavyweight, great feet, takes him in and out. Um, yeah, really good to watch. So all these great fighters in their careers have utilized excellent footwork to take them out of harm's way, to get back into range, get into distance, to land their punches and to get away without getting hit. So footwork, make no mistake, is a big part of boxing. And if it's utilized in the right way, like I said, it can be really good to watch. But all that is very different from some of the fights I've seen recently that I'm also going to give you as examples where it was just flat out running. Devin Haney. Now, listen, Devin Haney, I'm an admirer of Devin Haney. I'm a fan of his. But I've got to say, his last fight against Jose Ramirez in New York, that was a horrible fight to watch. I mean, to be fair to Devin, he was coming off wasn't a loss because that was overturned. He was coming off a fight with Ryan Garcia in which he was dropped and hurt a number of times. And you can see in his last fight against Ramirez, it affected him in terms of he looked gun shy. And that was obvious from the start. And listen, I can allow for that. I mean, obviously getting hit and hurt and dropped is not a nice sensation. It's not a nice feeling. And listen, he would have been sparring. But when you get back in the ring and you've got a guy on the other side of the ring that's looking to take your head off and he's got those 10-ounce gloves on, it's not an easy thing to do. And Devin, you could see when the fight started, he appeared gun shy. I thought he might take a couple of rounds to get over it. But I've got to say, for the whole night, he was moving constantly. You could see he didn't want to engage. I mean, he well won the fight. He won it on athleticism and a jab. But it's not what the people who paid their hard-earned money wanted to see. It certainly wasn't what Turkey wanted to see. These fighters are getting very well paid, and people don't want to see fighters just run around the ring and not engage. To make matters worse, the following night, because that was on the Friday night in New York, the following night, Canelo took on William Skull of Cuba. Now, if you thought the Devin Haney fight was bad, the William Skull versus Canelo fight was absolutely dreadful. Real snooze fest. In fact, I think it broke records for the least amount of punches landed in recent times. So yeah, that was an absolute disgrace. And Canelo deserves his fair share of criticism in that fight as well, because he didn't really make any serious attempts to cut the ring off. He just spent the entire time following William Skull around. William Skull clearly didn't want to engage, threw light pitter-patter punches and moved all night long. And it was dreadful to watch. And William Skull, he actually thought he did well. I mean, some of the interviews he gave after the fight, he appeared to think that he won the fight. I mean, delusional. Listen, William Skull, I think he would have earned good money that night, but that's probably his last big payday, because after a performance like that, I don't see too many people queuing up to promote him again. And our fans, if they see his name on a fight card, they're probably swerving. So in the long run, that was could turn out to be a really, really bad look for him. Another fight that's kind of gone under the radar a little bit happened in this country. I saw it a couple of months ago. A fight between Charlie Edwards of Croydon. I think he lives up north now. And he was taking on Liverpool's Andrew Kane. I think they were fighting for the British and Commonwealth title, something like that. That was an absolute stinker. That was on a par. It may even have been worse than the William Skull Canelo fight, that one. Charlie Edwards literally ran the whole night long. I couldn't believe it. 12 rounds. The man just ran around the ring. Ran around the ring. Andrew Kane, he was trying to cut the ring off. He was trying to engage. But I've got to be honest, man, Charlie Edwards, his feet were so good. He was running so fast that Andrew Kane could hardly catch up with him. And then what really annoyed me was the result was actually a split decision. One of the judges actually voted for Charlie Edwards. Can you believe that? Absolute disgrace. And yeah, so this is where we're at with professional boxing, man. And this is why I agree with Turki Al Sheikh. I mean, fans pay good money. At that level of boxing, promoters pay good money to put these fighters on cards. And it's not right that one fighter should come in the ring and not seek to engage and to stink the joint out. I mean, it's not fair on the fans. It's not fair on the other guy, on the opponent. It's not fair on the promoter who's put the money up for the fight and promoted it. And it's a really bad look for the fight game. But the problem is, how do you stop this? I mean, some people are suggesting, and I know Turkey is supposedly toying with the idea of using smaller rings for some of his fights. That would encourage more engagement. One thing I've spoken about previously in some of my other videos is that referees need to be more proactive. I'd like to see them take points off fighters, issue warnings, and if they still persist, then disqualify them. I used to see this more back in the day in British rings. Referees would call the fighters together and say, look, we need to see more action, you're not engaging. I'm not really seeing too much of that recently, but yeah, I'd like to see that come back. But judging by what Turkey said, he said, look, I'm not going to promote any more fights like this. So he's put the warning out there, and I think fighters will do well to heed that warning. And I think he's perfectly within his rights to do so. And I actually think it's for the betterment of boxing overall. But that's my thoughts. What do you think? I'd love to know what you guys think. Put it in the comments. Do you agree with me? Do you think Turkey's right? Do you think that boxers have a responsibility to entertain the fans and to put the sport in a good light? Or some people have suggested that maybe Turkey is, trying to exert too much control over boxing, and that as a promoter, he shouldn't really be telling boxers how to apply their trade in that way. But let me know in the comments. That's all from me. Thanks so much for watching the video. Really do appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out.